Hello, and welcome to today's video. What we're going to do here is work through a possible project that you could find yourself doing. I have a very large data set. It's about 500 records, and no worries because it's totally fictitious. And I've been tasked with the idea of coming in and finding out how many different insurance providers we have and what patients or how many patients are using each insurance provider. So we're going to do that today. You need to be on the insert ribbon. Now, I did save a little bit of time by going ahead and highlighting what I was after. I highlighted the patient ID and the insurance provider. It looked like it went away. We'll have to see if my highlighting stood put. Now, I said pivot table, pivot chart, or at least that's what I want to do. I could do a pivot table by itself and then create a pivot chart by itself. But if you go to pivot chart under the insert label, you'll find that you can see pivot chart and pivot table. So what's the saying? Killing two birds with one stone? So let's go ahead and pick pivot chart, pivot table. It brings up this window. Now, it is showing the range selected. It's coming out of table 1. That's what the table's referred to. Of course, you can change the name if you wish. And at the bottom, it says, well, where do you want to put it? Well, you can see by this worksheet that it's pretty full. So if we tried to put it there, where would you put it? It'd be hard to see. So let's try a new worksheet. I'll go ahead and click on OK. It brings this up. Now, what you're seeing over on the right are the pivot fields or pivot table fields there. I'm going to start with the pivot table. I just find it a little easier to work with. Here are my pivot table fields, and what you're seeing here up top are all the fields that are part of my data set. This is everything that's in the data set. So what we're going to do is look down below. You have rows, you have filters, you have columns, and you have values. Now, we don't need everything, but we do need a few things. So let's start with the insurance themselves, the insurance provider. We're going to take that, since we're really concerned about that, I'm going to put that down in the rows area. And you can see over on my spreadsheet that the rows already popped up. I have Aetna, Blue Cross, Cigna, Kaiser Permanente, and United Healthcare. So they immediately came up, and they're also showing on my chart. Well, I need to give it a little bit more. Now, I also highlighted the patient ID. The reason I did just the patient ID and nothing really else is because I just am looking to count stuff. Okay? And here's the count. Now, if for any reason, when you're down in values, if you click on it, you can go to value field settings. You don't have to just do count. You can average stuff, use the maximum, the minimum, do a multiplication or sum stuff up. But in our case, we only need a count, so we're going to leave it there. So here is your pivot table and pivot chart. Now, this one here, there we go. Once you click out of it, that field will go away. With your pivot table, you can actually come up here, since we have all the different insurance providers, click down, choose a specific provider if you wish. You can filter. You don't have to accept what's there. Maybe you want it to go from not ascending to descending, but the opposite. You can do that too. Now, with your pivot chart, if you click on your pivot chart, you'll notice over on the right, you have a couple of icons that pop up. Click the first one. That allows you to add stuff. I could add data labels, data table down below, any kind of error bars, trend lines if I wished. So you can modify everything. Let me change the title here. Total of insurance providers. So that's easily changed. We go back This one down here, this little paintbrush, allows you to change the style. Maybe you don't want a bar chart. Maybe you want a pie chart. Go through it, make a change. You can. These are all showing bar charts, so we would have to make the change above. Or you can change the color. Let's say not really fond of blue. Let's go here. Or you can go monochromatic, whichever you wish. So you can modify that chart to whatever makes you feel better. So if we click on the chart, like I was mentioning, whoops, here we go. We come up top, design, add a chart element. There's your quick layout. There's to change your colors. And if you look over to the right, switch the rows with the columns. Maybe you want to select different data. Change the chart type. It's got a pie chart just for fun. See what it looks like. We can always revert back to the other one. There you have a pie chart. Or if you wanted to move the chart to a different location, you could. So you have a lot of benefits. There are a lot of things you can do here. Now, what else could you do with this kind of setup? Bringing up a pivot table, going to the axis and the values. Well, maybe you have an entire list of appointments and you want to find out by week how many appointments you had in each week. You can do it with this type of setup. So this is very helpful, especially in the healthcare field. So that's the conclusion of this video. Of course, if you like what I do, please give a thumbs up or subscribe and see what else I can come up with. Until our next time, bye bye.